Okay. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. As we have a large group, I just ask that you stay muted through the whole meeting. And if you have any questions or suggestions, try to use the comment field to ask them, and we will try to get back to you as soon as we can, either during the meeting or immediately afterwards. We realize you have a lot of demands during your day, and we're going to try to make this of value. So, and brief. So if there's topics that you'd like to see covered in the future, just let me know via comment or email or phone later on after the meeting. We're recording this meeting also so that you can refresh yourself later with the content, or if other foremen weren't able to join the call, they could actually see what we had discussed at this meeting. Today we have John's going to start us off with some company updates, and then Mike and Jason are going to jump in there with some safety topics. John, you want to start us off?
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'll be brief. I just wanted to take a few minutes today. I'm not going to address safety. I'm actually going to address just what I have all here, just talk a little bit about what we're seeing in the market in general, and then also just specifically a couple of items I wanted to touch base about Sully Mac. So market-wise, there's good news and there's bad news, as there always is. Starting off with the bad news, a lot of headwinds that we're seeing in the construction market overall. You know, commodity pricing continues to be exceptionally high. Interest rates have doubled. We all know this. We also have some lending where banks are a little bit more cautious right now. They're not as confident in say, the commercial real estate market or in the residential real estate market. So we see banks pulling back a little bit. We also see a loss of confidence in developers in the city of Boston, meaning how can they get through the development process reasonably quickly. They're concerned about that, so we also see them pulling back a little bit. And then the last thing, which affects every single one of you every day, is the supply chain disruption that we're dealing with. That is an incredible change in our market. You know, you think about a developer, they're going to pay more for the money that they borrow right now. They're going to pay more for copper and steel in general. And then they're going to pay more for equipment like switchgear and generators, a lot more, and they got to wait a year and a half to get it. Those factors, when you and the city of Boston as well being a little bit more cumbersome, those factors are really starting to chill the market. We're tracking 20 jobs since November 1st, November of 2022 to today, that we actually had, and the jobs then got pulled back. And they range from a $50,000, renovation to a $20+ million core shell building. So definitely a shift in the market where the market is slowing down, but it's not doomsday either. Boston was probably one of the hottest markets in the country, maybe the world. So we're slowing down, but there's still work out there. So I just wanted to kind of share that perspective with you a little bit. As a company, there's not a lot we can do to change those factors I just talked about. We can't change the interest rates. We can't really fix supply chain at this point. We can react to it and do our best to manage it, and that's what we're doing. But we're communicating, we're talking to builders, we're talking to developers, and we're talking to universities and hospitals and life science companies every single day. So I still feel pretty confident for Sully Mac purposes. Our backlog is good. We just actually officially signed a contract for Mass General last week. That's the largest core shell project we have ever won in our history. That's over a $100 million project, and that's got almost a 4-year window. So, and there's in front of us right now, there's probably 5 to 6 other large new buildings, core shell type projects or fit out projects as well that are in front of us. So there's good news and bad news, as I started to say, and I just wanted to share it with you while I had you for a few minutes. One other issue I want to talk to you a little bit about, because we have the foreman on the call, and this affects you, and it's certainly important to the company. And there's a growing body of evidence that we as a company, and I think we as an industry, construction in general, we are having more and more trouble getting our people to show up every day consistently for work. And we're having trouble getting them to show up when we need them for overtime. That is a problem. That's really increased since post-COVID, and I'm not blaming it on COVID, but that inability to consistently field people to go build jobs is a problem. And unlike interest rates or unlike supply chain, where we may not be able to affect or change that as a company, we do have the ability to change how we manage the people in the field that don't show up every day or don't show up for you consistently, or who choose not to work overtime when we really need them. So I just wanted to address it. I think it's a frustration for me, and I'm sure for the foreman on this call, it is a continuous problem. Makes your job even harder, which we're concerned about. So I just wanted to acknowledge it. I will tell you, we track attendance, we track people who show up late, we track people who leave early. So when we look at layoffs, that is one of those factors that we absolutely use. It's a data point. And when that person gets laid off and they're shocked, we can just simply say, hey, you missed 12 days in 4 months, without seemingly a good reason, or you missed 12 days and you wouldn't show up for Saturdays or whatever the request was. So I don't want to end my conversation on a negative point, because I don't think it's a negative. I think it's important that we really look at those individuals and we give them the honest truth, that this is part and parcel of what we do as a business. It's how we deliver value to clients, and it's how we get to the finish line. Until someone can eliminate overtime, we have to work it. And I know all of you are willing to put your personal things aside when we need you to. And I expect the same of the journeyman technicians and apprentices that work for us. So we are going to keep beating that drum and having that conversation with them individually, as well as with 103 or anyone else that can help us, until we start to at least understand this problem and understand if it's temporary or permanent, and then we're going to react to it. And that's all. I just wanted to share that with you, because I know in particular there's a few jobs recently that was a real struggle, and it made our jobs and the foreman's job a lot more difficult. So I'm aware of it, we're aware of it, and we're going to fix it. So that's it. I don't want to be too long. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, John. Appreciate your time today and sharing. Michael, you have anything that you'd like to add before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I'll be quick today. Good afternoon, everyone. We just recently purchased a new application for Toolbox Talks that we think collectively will be a good way to complete them. It is called the Safety Meeting app. It is app-based, so it will be right on your phone, iPad. You can also access it right on the computer as well. We think it will make it easier for the foreman, all of you, to complete your weekly Toolbox Talks. So when you request access to the app, Jason or I will come up with or get your username and login information set up for you. So that will be your email, and then we'll generate a password for you. And then that will be able to allow you to gain access to this application. So just real quick, we will do more next month to discuss this, but when you click on the meetings tab, it will allow you to generate a toolbox talk for the week. So this will be different for different foremans and crews. Every foreman is responsible for completing the weekly safety meeting for their crews that they supervise. So if it's only you on a crew, then you will do that, create that meeting, do the toolbox talk yourself, and then submit it and save it. If you have multiple crews where you have a general foreman and then sub-tier foreman, the general foreman can pick and choose what toolbox talk he wants to do for that week. Then the sub-foreman will do that toolbox talk with their crew. So we'll go into more detail next month to kind of explain this a little more, but that's kind of a quick breakdown of it. Another good function of this is you're able to add notes to the meeting afterwards, before you save it. So if someone in the crew brings up a safety concern or someone brings up something that you might want to document, this is a great place to put that information. It will all keep it saved. And then a nice function of this is that we've come to the conclusion, Sean, Jason, and I, that we haven't been doing a good job with telecom and the service guys and the CSD, where they're the small crews. We were sending the Toolbox Talk out with Google. Now with this app, it allows us to have you complete the Toolbox Talk, and then once that is completed, it generates a nice report for us that we can send out to the GC representative for safety, so that it gives us that documentation that we completed that. God forbid anything happens, we want to make sure that we have that documentation saying that we completed it. So, like I said, next month we'll go into a little more detailed conversation about this, get into the more meat and bones of it, and we'll make sure that everybody has a good understanding of it. So thank you, Sean. That's all I have for this week.
Thanks, Mike. It's a really slick system to keep our Toolbox Talks paperless, and I'm looking forward to see people join up on this thing. So I think that's going to wrap us up today. Thanks to John and Mike for presenting, and thank you all for attending. If you have any questions, again, reach out to me or one of the labor superintendents, and we'll try to get right back to you. Next meeting's June 29th. And I think, Mikey, you got another one next month, right? For your safety stuff? Okay.
Yeah, it should be the end of April.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.